On this day on which an American, Vice President Al Gore, was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace, for his wake-up call on global warming. The subject is environment and energy, and we'd like to frame it this way. How does development and expansion of renewable and alternative energy sources fit into your strategy to stop global warming and restore the environment? Senator Dodd.
Well, again, this is an issue where I think all of the candidates will tell you about the goals. Everyone wants to reduce the importation of the use of fossil fuels. We all want to deal with global warming and deal with healthcare issues related to it, become more independent. Everybody states the goals. But frankly, the goals don't get you there. I'm the only candidate that has advocated a corporate carbon tax to tax polluters who use fossil fuels. This will generate some $50 billion to provide a source of revenue, which I would then invest on a fast-track basis to develop alternative fuels and alternative technologies, so we can expedite more rapidly our independence from the dependency on technologies and fuels today that are costing our health and our environment terribly here. No one else is advocating that. It's expensive, but it's less expensive than the $1 billion we borrow every single day to buy foreign oil offshore, coming into our country here, making it more and more difficult for us to deal with these issues. So I'm offering a very bold idea that allows us to really get to the issue of underlying the cause of global warming. It gets us away from fossil fuels and more dependent on the alternative energies here in Northwest Iowa using wind. Keokuk the other day getting an announcement of a plant that'll put 400 people to work building the turbines here, utilizing the cellulosic materials, not just from corn, but other places that will allow us to develop an alternative energy source. Really investing intelligently here, reducing by or increasing by 50 miles per gallon the fuel efficiency standards by the year 2017. That ought to be done. My wife bought a car in 1983 that got 43 miles per gallon. That was 24 years ago. I believe we'll save Detroit by insisting upon fuel efficiency standards that are much higher than they are today and eliminating the CO2 emissions by 80% by the year 2050. Those are the goals. The only way you're going to do it is deal with the price differential between fossil fuels and these new technologies. A corporate carbon tax will do that. That's the plan that Al Gore and Bill Bradley have called the most bold and the most honest of the energy plans put forward by these candidates.
Senator White.
7 out of 10 barrels of oil we consume go into combustion engines. The corporate, to the best of my knowledge, the corporate carbon tax is not touching that. What we should do is we should mandate that every automobile in America get 40 miles per gallon. Number 2, we should provide for a system by which, that can't be 15 seconds left. I'm sorry. You're putting that up. That can't be. I couldn't have gone 50 seconds already. I think you're just getting mixed up. You put up to 15 instead of 30. I apologize. But it is distracting. The second thing that I think we have to do is we have to invest in technology. I'll give you one example. By spending, I believe we should be spending $500 million over the next over the next 5 years to develop a lithium-ion battery. If you have a plug-in automobile based on a battery that's available, others are doing it. You get 100 miles per gallon for an automobile. You could radically reduce the amount of consumption of that oil because of the internal combustion engine. Thirdly, I think you should look at this as an opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to create jobs. This is an opportunity for us to create an export capability. I would invest $50 billion in new technology, including renewable technology, renewable energy, as well as alternative fuels. That will create jobs, create an export capacity for us. Because look, folks, if we get it all right, we cap completely the amount of carbon we're emitting. You still have China that's building 1 coal-fired plant a day. You have India doing a similar thing. We have to deal with it globally, and I would get us back to the international business of a climate control treaty involving everyone.
Well, again, let me come back to the point I make about the corporate carbon tax. The point of this is, as long as the oil industry can fluctuate the price of a barrel of oil from $82 a barrel down to $15 a barrel and make money, at $82 a barrel, these alternative ideas of fuels and technology are competitive. They drop that price by $10, $15, $20, and they're not. All of us in this room know the secret. That middle-income families struggling to make ends meet at home, putting food on the table, paying that mortgage, paying that rent, might very much like to buy the more expensive fuel which is more efficient and cleaner. But they don't have that luxury. They have to buy the cheaper fuel. You've got to deal with price. If you don't deal with price, you can't deal with the issue of global warming. That's why the corporate carbon tax is absolutely critical. And I support what Joe is suggesting. This is where we ought to be building the kind of relationships globally so that we have the opportunity to draw on the brain power of people to come up with better ideas of how to provide the fuel efficiency and cleaner fuels for all of us to be able to enjoy in this country.
Let me respond, if I may. Where we're not very far off, but here's where I think how you deal with price. I would put a floor on the price of a barrel of oil. As long as it's above $32 a barrel, all these alternative fuels are competitive. If they go below $32 a barrel, because I don't trust the oil companies not to artificially drop it, and OPEC to drop it, that money would go into a fund, which would be invested in new technology. It would be maintained at $32 a barrel, and the money, if it went down to $20 a barrel, at $12 a barrel, would go into a fund providing for research and development of new and alternative energy sources, including renewable energy.